Okay, this is now 5-minute tarot for the 11th of February 2017. And I noticed in an earlier video that when I hold up a card and then take the card away, the webcam that I'm using, it can hunt around a little to focus. So from now on, I'm going to put an illustration on screen rather than hold one up. Okay, so today's about the Page of Swords. And it's because a couple of days ago, I was watching an early episode of 24 with Jack Bauer, right? So Jack he's chasing the bad people, and he's in a warehouse, and he's walking in the dark through a warehouse, and he's going after somebody, right? So he's taking action to go after the person. But in case the person steps out in front of him, he's got his gun out in front of him like this, okay? So he's walking along, he's looking ahead, he's holding the gun out, and it's protecting himself as well as trying to catch the person that he's after. And then if we think about the Page of Swords, the Page of Swords is standing with the sword in front, but is looking behind, which is the opposite of what Jack is doing. Well, so with the Page of Swords, it's as if you've got two things going on. On the one hand, you've got protection ahead of you. So you've got some kind of sign or some kind of defensive weapon or some kind of barrier protecting you. You're not going out looking for difficulties or trying to solve a problem, but you've got some kind of barrier out or some kind of warning sign or stop sign in its own way ahead of you, so that people who happen to come to visit you, they're going to find a barrier, right? But the person in the card is looking behind them, so they're looking to the past. So depending on the question, you might want to think of it as the sword can represent, maybe you tell people, I'm only going to look at email twice a day, 11 o'clock in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. And that's a kind of holding the sword up, because it's preventing intrusion or interruptions, or people understand that you're only going to if they want to get a message to you, and you don't reply immediately, it's not because you haven't got it, it's because you're not going to look at the message till 11 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of like putting up a barrier or trying to stop interruptions. So maybe what you do is, again, depending on the question, you might say to people, if you want to come and visit me during office hours, you need to make an appointment, or you can't just come by my desk and start talking to me because that's an interruption and it's going to take me time to get back on track. So holding the sword in front can be that type of activity or that kind of behavior where you put up some kind of barrier for your own protection, even though there isn't a direct threat that you need to look at and be alert for, right? So the person isn't expecting danger or difficulty coming to get them, but they're setting things up so that they don't get interrupted, or so they don't get distracted, or so that they can concentrate on what's important. And what's important is looking behind them, because that's where they're looking. So it's a bit like, and again, it depends on the question, but maybe what you would do is you examine the past and see what worked, what didn't work, what changes you might, in the light of reviewing and considering what has happened, or what didn't happen, or what you wish had happened, or what you wish hadn't happened. All these different possibilities, again, depending on the question, one or more will make sense. So you're looking at the past so that you can discover problems or difficulties, or become aware of where there was a weakness, or become aware of where there was a great strength, and you know that you can have confidence in that going into the future. So it's like the Page of Swords is double, so to speak. On the one hand, you're putting up a barrier, but at the same time, you're focusing on what has already happened or gone on, so that you can, I mentioned before in that past, present, future spread in the beginning of the month about getting organized. And that can be the nature of how to get organized. Put up a barrier, stop people interfering and interrupting. And so that means that you're then able to analyze properly and completely and without distractions what has happened in the past. I think that was it. So tomorrow I'm going to look, I mentioned a while ago about deciding on a goal, but at the same time it's important to live in the present. And that might be a contradiction, because I seem to be saying look ahead, but I'm saying at the same time don't look ahead. And I'd like to look at that to examine a bit what's going on with future conditions, and at the same time the importance of living in the moment and being in the present instead of living in the past or the future. Okay, so I'd like to give you my current understanding when it comes to that kind of question, and I'll do that tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.